Let's see what he is doing today. Follow me.
Hi everybody. I wanted to make this part of the video some explanation on the Blazer and everything that I'm doing to it, because the last video was my first video ever on YouTube. So I wanted to explain a few things so y'all are up to speed on this, because I started the first video mid-project. So this is a 5.3 with a converter killer cam from Texas Speed, Morel lifters. I had push rods left over from another build that were still good. I put 241 heads on it and a little bit of exhaust porting. It is still cathedral port because the 241s are cathedral port. I wanted to go with this intake to give it a little bit more power, and then I went with 1 3/4 headers from Speed Engineering. The fuel system part you seen in the last video, you can see I ran the 90s to the back of the fuel rails and then it deadheads in the fuel rail. And then I put 48-pound injectors from Holley in there. I know I'm gonna have to go into ECU and change that, but this is what I wanted to run. So mild build, mild NA build. Nothing real special done to the bottom end. The radiator is from another company. I'll have to get that later. But this was the radiator that worked with the truck accessories. And then I found fans off of eBay that fit the radiator. And then I like to use a lot of nut certs everywhere because the self-tappers, they vibrate loose. And this makes it easier to work on with not the one I used in here, but this is a general idea of what they are. A lot of people use them. They hold up great. So it is going to have AC. Surprisingly, the stock AC compressor from a truck works with this setup. I know some people have had issues where they had to raise it up and put it up here. In the last video, that's what I had, but it didn't work out with the battery sitting here, the overflow and the ECU sitting here. It just conflicted too much. So I tried the stock AC compressor. Now all I got to do is find the lines to work. It does have cruise control. I'm gonna retain the cruise control. Retaining all the vacuum that's necessary for the truck to run correctly. It's gonna have heat. Currently, I'm waiting on adapters for a different water pump because the radiator hose conflicted with the belts. So I needed to go with the Camaro water pump, which is over there. So the Camaro water pump is the one on top, and the truck water pump is the one on the bottom. You can see the top radiator hose is different. That's why I had to go with the Camaro F-body water pump. I also went with factory AC Delco plug wires because these I think are off of like an 07, 08 year LS engine. I'm not exactly sure what make and model, but around 08 they had these 90-degree ones, which fit kind of good, a little bit better than the straight ones that normally come on these engines, because as you can see, I'll get a light. That spark plug wire is super close. It's not touching, but it works. Did say about it. Modify the hood latch support down here. I had to cut it and then put a spacer behind it to make it work. The condenser is one I found off of Amazon that would fit this area in the way I wanted it. And then this is your power steering cooler that came factory on these trucks. And I'll raise the truck up and I'll show you the exhaust that I finished yesterday. I didn't want to bore everybody with all the welding and fabrication that I had to do. It was very frustrating because everything's really tight. So this is the exhaust I ran. The 4.3 bell housing for the 4L60 is slightly different, but there are plenty of bolts in there. The starter fits in the same location and doesn't interfere. I had to run catalytic converters because this truck has to go through inspection and it has to be present. So I ran duals all the way back to a single muffler, dual in and dual out. I wanted to run true duals with an X pipe, but there's a lot of conflicting spaces here with the drive shaft and it being a Blazer. If it was a truck body, I probably could have got it in there, but this is what I could fit. Not, show quality, but very functional and flows really good. So it's dual in, dual out, and then I wide it right before the rear. And then I put, as you can see, V-bands in certain sections to where this whole exhaust can come off if needed. If you wanted to change it or put it back with the 4.3, you could put the stock exhaust back in. So there's two sections up there. The muffler comes off all in one section with the Y pipe. And then the tailpipe comes off, goes up around the rear, and then goes beside the tank, and then exits right here, which I haven't figured out an exhaust tip yet because I know it's going to get this pretty warm. So I need to look at my options for that. But I think it's going to sound pretty good. And yes, I'm going to get tires before it's driven. It's going to get cleaned up and all that stuff. And new shocks. And I'm going to probably repaint a lot of stuff. Surprisingly, this truck doesn't have a lot of rust. Obviously, you can see some of it, but it's not all rusted through. Like a lot of the Blazers are usually rotten right back here where the body mounts are. And a lot of them are eaten up right inside this fender well. But this truck only had 70,000 ish miles on it. So it sat most of its life. So there's still a bunch to do. I still got to figure out trans cooler lines. And I had to fit the motor in here. I went off a lot of forums and they said to run the F-body oil pan, which it works, but it's still kind of tight right here. Still kind of tight to the frame. I may have to end up modifying that and then see the drain plug. So, and then I run AC Delco filters. So, and obviously I'm gonna do all new brakes, all new tires. I'm gonna double check all the brake lines, make sure they're correct and right and not leaking. Probably all new bushings. Okay, now. So if anybody has any suggestions about anything else I could do or any parts that would work better, feel free to comment. Also, if you have any questions about what I've done and what I've built in the LS swap deal, feel free to ask or comment. Pretty sure there's other things that everybody's done differently. But thank you and see you in the next video. Like and subscribe and improve on anything in any videos. A lot of people have said comments and that helped a lot. And I understand where everybody's coming from. Goodbye.